You know, we've all got blind spots. I do. But why BS? Why BS your business, your career, your family? And why BS your life? It starts with asking the question. But it's really about living it. And that is what this podcast is all about. This is YBS, Your Blind Spot with Tanner Gears. TEDX is the only small business and entrepreneur-focused cell phone provider. With unlimited talk, text, mobile hotspots, and video streaming plans starting at just $20 per month, plus their US-based 24/7 customer support, you can't go wrong. That's teltik.com, TELTIK.com. Right now, use Tanner at checkout and save even more every single month. TEDX, that's smart business. Hey everybody, how is it going? I hope that your week is off to a great start, and thank you so much for joining me on episode 91. Whether on iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play, and of course, the whole kit and caboodle for this episode is being served up at tannergears.com/91. Great stuff in this episode, YBSers. And of course, we've got first, the humble journey to the TED Talk and Stage Part 2. And second, I've got a special summer offer just for the YBSers on this podcast. Now, if you missed Part 1, it's episode 88, so check that out in the feed. And if you did catch that episode, I wasn't sure how everything would come together for this practice one, the changes that I implemented for it. But it did get way better feedback than round 1 did, and many of my colleagues were asking for my card after this shindig, so guess it turned out pretty good. But I want to know what you think. And if you love it, or maybe you know an aspiring speaker who wants some free tips, strategies, or ideas, just go ahead and share this episode right now. Share it with your peeps. It would mean the world to me. Now, that is enough said. Let's roll the tape. Don't know how this is going to end, but we'll find out here in a second. You know when you find that one piece of information that really sheds light on that thing that you didn't know? It really brings a whole new perspective to the situation. I remember in 2008, I was going to school full-time, I was working full-time, I had little time throughout the day, and I was reading this book. It was on economics and accounting. And I'm reading this book, and I'm almost having an argument with this book because what it's saying I know to be completely not true. And I'm like, who edited this book? They don't know what they're talking about. And then we finally get to the point in the chapter where that label becomes better defined. The thing that I didn't know that was preventing me from really seeing the truth became revealed. And sometimes when we look at things on the surface and we base that on our experience, we don't really see things for what they are or what they could be. And that is a blind spot. And that's what I want to talk about today, is that as a society and as individuals, every single day, we have these things that prevent us from really seeing what's possible. It's not just in a book, it's not just in these objects, but we do this. We write the greatest assets that we have. We write these assets off as a result of our blind spots. And this happens every single day. We write off people. As I was saying, in May of 2008, we're wrapping up the semester. I'm working full-time, I'm going to school full-time, and the one thing that I like to do at the end of my 15-hour day is I step in the door and I fall on the couch, I grab the remote, and I turn on the TV. And like clockwork, The Tonight Show comes on. I'm never home early enough to catch the news, but when I turned on the TV this evening, I heard the news. I was like, holy crap, I'm never home this early. And at the end of the news, as you guys know, they do the sports. And the very last segment before the Tonight Show is the local sports. And the announcer, the sports broadcaster, comes on and he says, now here's a team that doesn't let anything come between them and the game that they love to play. And that's when I heard the sound that would change my life forever. This looks like a softball. And yet, the thing inside of this, the thing that it's tough to see before you hear it, it's tough to understand how that could change someone's life. How this could level the playing field and really shed light on a blind spot that I had. I grew up an athlete. I played sports my entire life. And I thought that was all taken away from me, that I would never have the chance to play again. See, 4 years earlier, I was headed out to my parents' house. They live outside of Tucson, about 30 minutes, right up against the Saguaro National Monument. It's a really beautiful drive. And Tucson is this cycling mecca. So there's a lot of cyclists riding up and down the road. There's a lot of elderly retired people taking a look at the views. There's beautiful saguaro cactuses. The mountains are off in the landscape. And as you kind of come around, you wrap around these mountains. It's very hilly up and down the terrain. There's dirt on either side of the road. And as I'm coming around this turn, I start to go into the dirt a little bit. And that's when I lost control. I lost control of my car. I started to spin, and then I started to roll. And my car went across the street, and it flipped over the edge. And before the car landed, a giant, thorny Palo Verde tree came through my windshield, and it came through my face. Immediately, it blew my left eye from the socket. My back was broken in 7 different places. There's a massive hole in my face, and glass is everywhere. Blood is everywhere. The hole in my face is so big that you can see my brain. It's exposed to the air. And my car is upside down. And amazingly, I never lost consciousness. And so I start to pull myself from the wreckage. And I screamed for help. Help eventually got there. I mean, if you can call it help. They came running down the embankment. We're coming, we're coming. Just 1 minute. You know, they're making their way through the mesquite trees, the Palo Verde trees, the prickly pear cactus, the cholla cactus, the barrel cactus, the rocks. They're making their way down the terrain, and they're coming around the car where I am, pulling myself, crawling through the glass, out the rear windshield. And as they come around the car and they look down at me, and they see me look at them. And they see my face. 14 years of combined experience made a decision. That decision was it's over. Game over. I don't even know how he's still alive. And so they decided that it was probably a good idea to bring me back up to the street. And so they carried me. They carried me by my hands and my feet back up that hill. No bodyboard, no neck brace, no head brace, no nothing. They already decided. This kid's DOA. DOA, that's dead on arrival. It doesn't matter that I'm answering questions, Tanner, Sunday, George Bush. Those are the answers to the questions that they were asking me. It doesn't matter that I'm still breathing and that with my one eye, I'm looking at them in the eye. They already decided. There's no hope here. He can't do anything. And so they laid me there on the sidewalk or on the side of the street. And I look up at the sky, the clear blue sky. And I wait for life support. The helicopter's going to get here soon, right? I never saw that helicopter. From blood loss, I lost consciousness, finally. Fast forward, about 8 weeks later, I wake up in the traumatic brain injury unit of a physical rehabilitation clinic in Tucson. And that was interesting. That was really, really interesting because I'm cognizant of what's going on. I know that now I can't see. I'm totally blind in both eyes. I have a brain infection. I have an infection on my eye. And there's people talking to me. And these other patients, because it's a semi-private clinic, and everybody keeps telling me, my friends, my family friends, they say, you're gonna be okay, Tanner. It's gonna be okay. And when you would hear some of the things that the brain injury patients would say, when I would listen to that, and if they're okay, and I'm okay, I'm not okay. So, that sound that you heard, beat baseball, what was inside of that gave me my life back. It's just a sport. But for the past 4 years, in 2000, that was from 2004 to 2008 when I heard beat baseball for the first time, I was going uphill. I never felt like I was on an even playing field. And I wasn't. But I wasn't on an even playing field because I had a blind spot. I didn't realize that there was things out there that can allow me to live a normal life. That doesn't matter what I look like or the situation, the circumstance in which I find myself. So once I finally began to realize that there's more to me than just a disability, I couldn't even see that myself. I couldn't see that I still had talents and skills, that I still had my mind, my body, my hands, my feet. I can walk, I can talk, I can have this conversation, I can share this message. It's interesting to me that it took me losing my sight before I would actually see myself and see the true potential that I have inside of me. It would be ultimately, it's going to be up to me to get it. At least I thought so. Because as you know, I was already working and going to college, and I eventually graduated. But then as it was time to move on to new horizons and get a bigger job and do bigger things, to really make an impact on the world, I know that I'm still here for a reason. My brain still works. My heart still beats. I didn't know what that was. It's a blind spot. And then I ran into a wall. I hit this barrier of perception that so many people have. And I would get asked the question all the time, how do you do it? How do you do things? How do you make a phone call? How do you write an email? Search the internet. How are you going to do a job? Who's going to pay you to do anything? Sorry?
Oh, just clearing his throat.
Oh, okay. When I graduated college and I stepped out into the adult workplace, if you will, I was written off there as well. I had these talents, I had these skills, I could communicate, I could articulate my desires, what I'm going to do for the company, the organization, and I was written off. I don't know why, as a society, we make these snap decisions based on aesthetics when things are just skin deep. I did it for baseball. I didn't realize that there was more, or could be more, to a baseball. I didn't realize that America's pastime, there was an adaptable version of it so that I could still play the game that I loved. That's a blind spot. And when we make decisions as individuals and as a society to write people off based on aesthetics, based on our own perceptions and experience about what we might think is possible, what would I do if I was in that situation? I don't know how I would change and make a difference, how I would shift when my whole life was taken out from under me and things change in a moment. When we make decisions about what's possible for somebody else because of the way that they look, the way that they talk, or the way that they walk, I wonder what we thought about individuals who needed wheelchairs before wheelchairs were around. I wonder what we thought about people who couldn't hear before sign language was developed. And if blind people could read before Braille was created. We don't know what we don't know. And what I think that we're missing is we don't realize as a society what's possible when we look beyond aesthetics, when we go beyond skin deep. It makes me think of Dan Green. He was my first baseball coach. He was born totally blind, and he has a master's degree in physics from Northwestern and writes missile programs for Raytheon. It makes me think of Donald Porterfield, who lost his sight later in life, and then later in life finished law school and became a lawyer, and is now prosecuting criminals in southern Arizona. Or Doway, an electrical engineer for Tucson Electric Power. Or Marcus Schmidt, another totally blind electrical engineer for APS. And of course there's Cypress Habib, the first totally blind lieutenant governor in the state of Washington. When we don't know how people are going to do things, we make judgments on what they're capable of doing in the first place. And hearing a baseball for the first time really helped me shed light on my own blind spots of what's possible for me, what I'm going to be able to do. If we can play baseball, what else can we do?
As a matter of fact, we can start companies. I've done that. We can represent the United States on the highest level. And I've done that as a U.S. Paralympian. We can go to school and graduate from college because of assistive technology, just like the beep baseball. That beeping assisting us to do the things that we love to do, that we're capable of achieving. And if we don't know, if we don't experience what we don't know, like giving someone with a disability a shot and not judging them based on what we think might be possible for us, but actually opening our minds to what might be possible for people, for an individual. If we can open up our minds to that, then we can really shed light on a huge blind spot. Humans are the greatest assets that we have. Human capital. And just because we don't know how we might do something doesn't mean that it can't be done. I don't know how I'm going to end this, so thank you.
I know you know why, but why BS? Why BS looking better this summer? It gets down to the what and the how. That what and how is Complete Detox 21, the one and only detox and fat loss program guaranteed to help you lose 10 pounds or more in just 21 days. This 21-day detox and fat loss program sells for $497. That's right, $497 at CompleteDetox21.com. You can go ahead, check it out, and verify what I'm saying here. But I'm running a special right now so that you can look better, feel better, and get leaner. Lose 10 pounds or more all the way through summer. Some of the parts to this easy-to-follow step-by-step program include the meal plan template that gives you exactly what to eat and when, no guessing. A Slap Your Mama Good cookbook, a quick start guide, and a whole lot more. I'm even throwing in my morning detox liver recipe drink and Absolutely Lean System Fitness, the only 15 minutes per week. That's right, 15 minutes per week fat loss body weight program. I know how to burn fat quickly, and you will. Just 5 minutes a day, 3 days a week. And like I said, normally this goes for $497, but I'm doing this just now and just for you on the YBS podcast. Right now, through Memorial Day, you'll get the whole CD21 system plus the bonuses for hundreds. It's silly, hundreds off the regular price. So go to tannergears.com/CD21, and that will direct you to a special page just for my YBS podcast listeners. So don't BS looking your best this summer. Lose 10 pounds in 21 days, guaranteed, or your money back. It's easy as that. So why BS? That's tannergears.com/CD21. Again, tannergears.com/CD21. All right, now let's go ahead and check in and see what those speakers, what kind of feedback this round got.
You had such rapt attention. You're an excellent storyteller, and the way you told it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you for telling us.
Yeah, man.
You do fantastically well.
Thank you. Because I got a lot of Jimmy's voices in my head right now.
Jimmy G?
Mr. Pluff saying, you can't sell that crap.
So I want to echo that. Very, very compelling, really terrific. A big improvement over what you did last time by getting more to your points and really emphasizing them.
Yeah.
I loved your descriptive language. Just describing. I don't know if you need all of it there, but I love your descriptive language of describing the scene, the drive, all of it. It was really terrific. I could feel myself there with you, which I think is great, and a great tie-in about our own blind spots that keep us from being all that we can be. So a message that everybody in the audience can relate to, in addition to your message about don't write off other people. I think you have more clarity around your points. I noticed that, I think when you wait that long to introduce the softball, I don't think you need to worry about hiding the switch or the speaker.
Okay.
It's just if you choose to go back to just standing there with the softball, which was kind of intriguing, and you may want to choose to do that or not.
Okay.
That's when you needed to be, not give it away before you were ready to turn it on, I think.
Got it.
Last time you screamed for help and we told you it was like a little overpowering in the room. I'd be interested to hear what others that heard that think about you not putting in the scream at all. It was pretty impactful, even though it was kind of like, whoa.
Right.
Overload for us. So just, it's something to consider. I liked your 14 years of combined experience, decided game over. I mean, there's a lot in there. There's more to me than disability, about losing your sight before it took you losing your sight before you could actually see yourself, and just a lot of compelling phrases. And I think you might end up where you ended up, about humans are our greatest asset. Just because we don't know how someone might do something doesn't mean it can't be done. That might be, or maybe something, a callback to the blind spots.
Yeah.
So great job, good.
Thank you.
Tanner, first of all, I was disappointed when you ended because I was very into your story and hearing where you were going to go with it. I've heard we don't know what we don't know for a long time, but the way you spoke it in the middle of your story really made me start thinking about what I don't know and how many times I've limited myself by not knowing. So I found it very inspirational.
Thank you so much.
So I was like, man, he's got this down and polished. Fantastic. I didn't get to see the last time, so I think your opening is so super strong. You drew us in to the point where I'm going to send you an email, and I stopped taking notes because I was so into what you were saying. The message of don't write people off, just fantastic. I really liked the demo of the softball. The only thing that stood out, I got a little distracted and I actually put on my glasses to see if I was seeing what I thought I was seeing. And on the softball, there's a big word Trump. And I don't know if that's the brand's name or not the brand's name. And then there's something about rock on there as well. And I'm wondering if, especially if you hold it out longer, if you would want to have somebody just tape over the writing on your softball so that you don't distract the audience regardless of what it says. It could say, you have blind spots, and I'd still be trying to read it.
Right.
But in today's political climate with the giant Trump, that might get misinterpreted.
It's it's kind of this big joke that the league is playing on blind people.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
There's a good line.
Yeah, yes, and in this climate, I think you'd be just taking away from you and your message.
Yeah.
We have enough, polarization in the country right now that you don't want to distract from the powerful message that you have, and that was what was distracting to me. I love the arcing of your stories. You've got great highs, you've got great lows. I love the examples of the people. You're just really well on your way.
I so appreciate you saying that. The cab driver said, "What are you doing today?" And I said, I'm giving a talk. And he goes, "What are you talking about?" "I don't know." And he goes, "Oh." He goes, "Well, you got 10 minutes." Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it.
Go ahead, Robert.
Tanner, what a pleasure to meet you before today. I didn't know you, so I haven't heard the evolution. So it's all great. There was a little throwaway line in there about representing the U.S. as a Paralympian.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, there's more to that than a throwaway line.
I appreciate that. I didn't know how to. I thought that it would be good to bridge some of the successes on the heels of being written off for the first time, and I didn't know how deep to go in there.
I don't either. I just know it's more than a throwaway line.
Thank you.
Explore it.
I like the central message of don't write people off, and what I also got was don't write yourself off, because there was a point in there where you had written yourself off in terms of being involved in sports and so forth, and so that was a second lesson in there for me.
Thank you.
Roger?
Tanner, only a couple of quick comments. I love so much about it, and I'll echo what Ed began with, was it was captivating. You could have heard a pin drop. We were so into the development of what you were saying and where you were going and your personal story. So contrary to what we almost say is what's in it for me, I really wanted to know about you. And so you really drew me to that place. Somewhere at the end of the accident, then you said fast forward 8 weeks. You said fast forward 8 weeks later, I wake up, and blah, 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 and then you go on and on and on about what happened. Very minor thing, but I don't know that we need to fast forward.
Okay.
8 weeks later, I wake up. And then you go into whatever happened. Becomes dramatic. Great examples of successful people. If you're not speaking in Phoenix and you're speaking outside of the state, make sure that any acronyms of companies, you said APS.
Yes, sir.
So somebody would go, what's APS?
Yeah.
So outside of this region, then you would want to change that or give more national examples, because I'm sure you have those of people. But other than that, fabulous. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
That was my only comment that I was going to add regarding the reference that you have. I happen to know Mark Schmidt. I was talking to Michael about it. I know him very well.
Oh,
He's in my Toastmasters group. That was great. So I was able to, you drew me in with that. So my suggestion would be to use names that are very popular or that people will know about it, so they can relate to that.
Yeah, last time I forget who said to bring up the blind lady who won the chef show, The Last Chef or Chef Off or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can't think of the name of the guy locally. He went to Brophy, who is blind but scaled Everest. Do you know who that is?
Mm-mm.
I'll see if I can find his name.
Oh, I think I've seen a video of that.
Yeah,
He's
a wrestler also at Brophy.
Oh, okay. Oh, so I was thinking of a veteran.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jim?
So, Tanner, so there's a great improvement over last time. And to Deborah's comment, I liked it better without the scream. You might have said you might have emphasized a little bit more about how you were crying for help, crying over and over again or something, but I liked it better without help. And I thought there was, again, a great line that might have been hard to catch when you said, I would listen, and if they're okay, and they're telling me I'm okay, then I know I'm not okay.
Right.
And that's a little hard to follow, but the thought there is because I was listening to what the people who they were telling me were okay, and then they were telling me I was okay, I knew that I wasn't okay.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And maybe using my hands, like I was hearing the other patients say things, and then hearing these people say things. Yeah,
I just think you can do, but this is very compelling. I like you said, I think the improvement this time over last time was unbelievable.
Thank you, brother.
If you'd like some humor,
Yes.
a potential point was when you said I ran into a wall. Well, by then I'd run into a lot of walls, but I also ran into a figurative wall. So you can listen to that on the audio.
Okay, Don.
Whoa, this is challenging. How are you, Tanner? I'm good. Are you surviving up here?
I'm a little sweaty.
Have your baseball?
Yeah, totally. Grab it, okay. You're not gonna hit me in the nuts with it.
No. Not even that, no. Has my reputation gotten that bad?
more of a figurative approach, but yeah.
Well, after thinking about what Natalie said and listening to some of the critique, I realized I'm not up to date on TED Talks. So I may not, what I'm saying may not relate as directly as it could to a TED Talk. But I think there have to be some things that are universal. There has to be something that captures an audience and gives them a sense that there's going to be something in this for me. And then there has to be some drama or series of points or scientific evolution that people can follow. Well, you have that in spades in terms of the drama. And then there's what is there at the end that people kind of take away, that's memorable to them that they take away. I'm, of course, big on openings. And an opening that occurred to me would be something like this. I'm here to talk to all of you about blind spots. And you may think that's kind of ironic, that a guy who's been totally blind since 2004 is here to talk to you, fully sighted people, about blind spots. My suggestion to you is, you may see less of your potential than I do.
Wow.
And it took me becoming blinded before I could truly see.
Nice.
Mic drop.
What?
Mic drop. Yeah, that was amazing. That's all you got to say, and then you just walk off.
Well,
Drop the mic.
See, and he's blind.
because I've never heard you before. I wasn't sure if you were completely blind. I didn't know if it had happened a long, long time ago or recently. So as Natalie said, you don't want the audience having to try to figure anything out.
Mm-hmm.
So I get real clear with them, you've been blind since 2004, and that you're totally blind. The softball. I would build some drama around the presentation of this softball. And I would build a drama about all of the things I felt I'd lost. And you, of course, have a litany of those things you thought you lost. And one of the things, as you can tell by my build, I was an athlete and I still am an athlete. One of the things I felt I had lost that was breaking my heart was baseball, softball. Obviously, I thought I would never play again. Guess what, folks? I play softball, and I'm pretty darn good at it. Now, is this what you played in the Olympics?
No.
Involved or?
Track and field.
Okay,
I was a sprinter and a jumper.
okay. Where did you start playing with the softball?
Oh, Houston, Texas, 2008.
Okay, and what led to
Oh,
that?
that was the World Series, but was the news, seeing it on the news, the next weekend, I was practicing in Tucson. I was doing it for the first time.
When you saw this,
I heard it on the news.
when you heard it?
I heard it on Monday, and then Saturday I was playing.
All right. See the possibilities of that story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That story would build up. And then think about this seriously. At what point do you present the softball?
Right.
Because I'm holding it out in front of me, and I'm looking at it with wonder. And of course, I guess if you pull this thing, it makes noises.
Yep.
So you need to do that so that they understand what it is. Then my thought is, Tanner, as you go through the series of events, I have to tell you, I found that pretty disorganized. I was having a hard time tracking with you.
Okay.
And I think if you had a transcript made of this talk today and had an author, an editor, read down through it and pull out the key points and help you sequence them like an author would, and then feed that back to you so that as you tell that story, it's so compelling, but that we're following it and it's building. And because this softball, I'm holding it out in front of me again, marveling at it, had changed my life, my question to you about the blind spots you may have in your life is, what is it you're failing to see that's possible for you? What is it you're failing to see that could be possible for others and in relation with you? And then as you build that up, as you come to the close, and this is just a suggestion, we're all suggestions here. My suggestion would be to put this thing out in front of you again, holding it, admiring it, and to ask the audience, so what is the softball in your life that keeps your eyes open, that keeps you open to opportunity, that helps you see the potential in your life? You don't have to be blind to learn to see.
That's a great line.
Marvelous. Marvelous.
Thank you. You remember when you were a kid and that one person you looked up to gave you a compliment? The best compliment you can give me right now is by sharing this. I look up to you, and it would mean the world to me if you would share this right now.